Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashaധ്യായിനീം Amba Tvamanusandathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavatveshinim Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Tela Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikaparnaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gītāmritaduhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gītāmrutam Mahat Vasudevasatam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Hari Om. Okay, Hari Om, good morning and welcome back to chapter 18 class. In our last class, we started to study this wonderful last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And I had mentioned also that chapter 18 happens to be the practical summary of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 15 tells the summary of the essence of the highest knowledge. This has that too, but it also has all the practical aspects of life that were either talked about or touched on and not yet elaborated. So many beautiful things come in this chapter 18. It starts with a question by Arjuna asking Bhagavan, is there a difference between tyaga and sannyasa? Because those are two words that are used in the tradition, meaning renunciation. They're both translated loosely as renunciation. Is there a difference between them, or are they the same? This is Arjuna's question. Bhagavan Sri Krishna uses this question of Arjuna to summarize the entire tradition. That just goes to show how important these words are, how important this concept of renunciation is. It is something that we find great difficulty in usually. It is something that I think we have a lot of confusion about this. We give up things we're not supposed to give up. We don't give up things we're supposed to give up. and we don't really know what it is I'm supposed to be giving up at what time in my life. So Arjuna asked these questions, and we get now to reflect on this concept of tyaga and sannyasa in our life. Now, Bhagavan starts by giving the opinions of other people. And in verse 2, he said, some people say giving up selfish action is considered to be sannyasa, giving up the action, right? And giving up karma phala, attachment, attachment to the results of karma, that is called tyaga. So you can make a slight distinction between the two. Some people make a distinction between the two, and they say tyaga is giving up of the attachment to the results of actions, and they say that sannyasa is giving up selfish action. This is the first basic distinction that is made by those people. Then in verse 3, we had started to see, he said, other people say all karmas should be given up because they are doshavat. Doshavat means they are filled with defects. They're full of defects, right? How are karmas filled with defects? Well, there are multiple ways in which to think about it. One is, it is impossible to do only good karma. The pairs of opposites are in every iota of this universe. So, 1 second, sorry. It's great, huh? The pairs of opposites are in every iota of this universe. There's good, there's bad, there's positive and negative. In every atom, everywhere in this universe, you'll find both. So, it is impossible to do only good karma. You just have to give a little bit of thought to this to actually see the implication of this statement or the depth of it. You know, we are contributors to endless, and I mean endless papa karma, just by being innocent consumers. Or maybe oblivious consumers might be a better word. You take a simple example like going to Costco and buying a t-shirt. How long will that t-shirt last? In today's day and age, I don't know. I have found that t-shirts that I had as a teenager are still perfectly fine. But the t-shirts that I have now, in like 2 months, they get a little like a hole. I mean, I was more rough as a teenager than I am now. How is this happening? but somehow it is what it is. It's called fast fashion. Now they make fast fashion, right? But now, see, the textile industry in the production of these textiles dumps endless chemical dyes into rivers. That's the first thing. Just think a little bit on this one thing. I go and buy a t-shirt, okay? Now, for this t-shirt to get made, chemical dyes were sent into rivers. And those chemical dyes, they poison aquatic life. They contaminate the rivers. Then, nowadays, most clothes have plastic in them. It's impossible to find 100% cotton in general clothing, right? So now the tiny microplastic fibers, every time we wash them, they go into the drain and they end up in the ocean. And you know what happens to the fish when there's plastic in the ocean. Then these t-shirts that last like no time in my life, they end up in landfills eventually. Yes, you can, you're not going to give somebody a torn t-shirt. So eventually it ends up in a landfill. And then in the landfill, it emits toxins. It enters those toxins enter the soil, they enter the water, and all the carbon emissions related to the actual production, manufacturing of that t-shirt. And then the sending it from where it was made in some other part of the world to where I bought it. Then all the unfair labor that we will never know about, and we also don't want to know about. The papa karma associated with the company producing these things with this unfair labor. Now, just being a consumer of a simple $10 t-shirt in Costco, I have polluted the water. I have contributed to polluting water, air, soil, the food chain, people. I have affected people in the way I have made my choices. Now you tell me, how many people buy that t-shirt that actually need it? I mean, it's there, I buy it, but do I actually need it? And it will only be stocked in Costco if there is a demand for it. Right? You go to Costco, you find Bhagavad Gita selling over there. You find Upanishad selling there. Come and buy it in bulk. I mean, Costco will only stock what is there in demand, right? And so, you give thought. Anything we do contributes to papa karma, especially being consumers, right? Now, someone might say, well, no, no, well, I online shop. So I reduce part of my karma already because I don't waste the gas to go to Costco and come back. Well, I found out that a little package that you buy on online shopping, it emits more carbon than driving for 2 hours. Or some stat like that came out, right? So there is no way to get around doing papa karma, meaning contributing to some trouble related to the environment or to some people, to some plants, to some animals, in anything we do. Scrolling, using a device, bathing and washing my hair, everything contributes to some papa. I mean, there's some papa karma involved in every single thing. So some people say that's why you better give up all karma, right? Now there's a there is a subhashita in Sanskrit that says anarambho hi karyanam prathamam buddhi lakshanam. This is the first half of it. It says the first sign of wisdom is not to take up any karma. Right? No karma. Best thing to do is not do anything. Well, that sounds amazing, Bhagavan, because there's so many things in my life that I'd rather not do. You know, you've given me an out. First of all, this is not Bhagavan saying. He's saying other people say this, okay? But the Subhashita continues. What do we do if we've already started? It says, Arambhasyantagamanam dvitiyam buddhi lakshanam. The second sign of wisdom is to complete what you have already started. So now you just pause and think. How many projects are there in your house that are incomplete around you? Just look and think. I'm going to do this. I have to finish that. I started this. This is on my bucket list. And, you know, on holiday time, you're like, yes, I'm going to start this project. And then 3 holiday times later, it's still waiting, right? So we start things and we don't finish. But the principle that is being highlighted is that Bhagavan is saying some people are of the opinion that when you use the word renunciation, it means renounce all action. Because on the spiritual journey, it is very difficult to do action and immerse yourself in the scriptures. This is the opinion of some people. One other way to see how all actions are doshavat, right? They are filled with defects, is even if you assume an action that you're doing is good, you're enjoying an action, you're getting a good result of an action, right? You see, every action is the cause for bondage. If I do good karma, the result of that good karma is happiness, is peace. So that's a good thing. That's not doshavat. I mean, that's a wonderful thing. But now see, imagine you come to visit us at the ashram in Gaya. And you tell me that you love mangoes. Okay, I love mangoes. That is what you tell me before you come. Well, before you come, we're going to go and pick mangoes from the tree and have a box of super fresh, ripe mangoes waiting for you. And then you eat them to your heart's content. You're like, you know what? I feel like I've had my fill for the week. That's how much I've enjoyed this. And then the next day, I go and bring another box of mangoes. And I'm like, look, I picked these with so much love. Please enjoy them. You don't want to eat it. How much mango will a person eat, really speaking? But now you are bound to enjoy the mangoes. Even the enjoyment of something that we love can become bondage when we are forced to enjoy. When we do karma, whatever it is, good or bad, when the results come, whatever they are, good or bad, we are forced to receive the results of those karmas. So the force of a good thing also, well, that's doshavat, it's bondage. Don't force me to enjoy. Don't force me to have fun. I'll have fun on my own terms. Karma says, no, no, no. You enjoy it now. Sit here and enjoy it. Bondage. Doshavat. Like that. So that's another way we can think, right? And then tell me, is it not that karma brings stress and strain and all kinds of things come with karma, right? So some people say better do no karma. I mean, what you've started, you finish. Don't be like, some people, wise people, they say that I shouldn't be doing karma. So now, children, you take care of yourselves. I'm going to the ashram to study. That's not what is said either. Finish what you started, but don't start new things like that. Now you might say, well, I don't think this is very practical. Bhagavan, is this really what you think? People should give up all karmas? Kind of a little too far-fetched. So Bhagavan says, no, wait. Before I tell you my opinion, you listen to one more opinion. So in this third verse, we didn't get to this part. Let's chant it and then we'll see. Okay. Ready? Tyajyam doshavadityeke
त्याज्यं दोषवदित्येके
karma prahurmanishinaha
कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणः
यज्ञदानतपः कर्म
यज्ञदानतपः कर्म
न त्याज्यमिति चापरे.
न त्याजमिति चापरे.
Okay. So the first line of this verse said what we just talked about, that all karmas are doshavat, and so all karmas should be given. The second line now says, yajna, apare, other people now say, yajna dana tapa karma na tyajam iti. Yajna, dana, tapa karma should not be given. Give up all other karmas except yajna, dana, and tapas. What is this yajna, dana, and tapas? We have seen it extensively in chapter 17. In detail, we saw. Yajna traditional meaning is, the fire ritual. But really, yajna also has the meaning of giving up, sacrificing of selfishness. Then dana means giving. Dana is not charity, dana is giving, right? Giving with understanding of how the universe has contributed to me having what I have. And it helps us to develop Veda. And then tapas. Tapas is austerity in English. Any kind of discipline. Anytime we go through hardship and it burns and it hurts to do something good, that is tapas. No one likes to burn. Now you might say, well, are these things not filled with dosha? Do they not have faults in them? Yajna has faults, tapas has faults, dana has faults. They're all dosha. Okay. So the principle is, well, these people, they say, well, we have to do something. Even doing nothing is doing something. You can't not do anything. So at least do that which will help you to evolve. At least do yajna, dana, tapa, karma, because those things will help you to evolve. So now 4 opinions have been given. Give up kamya karma, selfish action. Give up the results of all karma, means give up attachment to the results of karma. Give up all karma, period. Right? Not just desire prompted actions, but all karma. And then give up everything except yajna, dana, and tapas. These are the opinions that have come so far. Now, but Bhagavan, what is your opinion? That is the one I care about. I don't care about other people's opinions. Why are you telling me? So now you think, did Bhagavan give other people's opinions in these 2 verses because he was thinking, I won't have anything to say by the end of this chapter. We'll end up with 698 verses. So better put opinion of 2 verses so we can have a nice round number of 700. Let's put it in here just to round things up. Just silliness. Bhagavan doesn't just put these things there for fun. The implication of this is, at different stages of our spiritual journey, different perspectives are important. Meaning, is it not true that some people need to stop focusing on results, while some people need to stop being attached to action? while other people need to just stop doing actions that are unnecessary, and others need to take up constructive activity. You just look around. There'll be people in all stages of their journey, and different things will be relevant to different people. That is why the question about sadhana is very dependent on the person and their stage of life. Now, the point is, don't write off these things. You just think, in my life, with all the actions that I'm doing, are there not some actions that I need to do in such a way that I stop focusing on the results? I'm only thinking what I'm going to get, what I'm going to get. And if I don't get what I'm going to get, then I'm not going to do it. We have things like that, right? Then some of us are very attached to certain actions that we do. See, you go to workplaces and you forget workplaces, ashrams, mandirs everywhere. Do you not have seniors in positions where they can't do the work anymore, but they're not willing to give up the position? You see that in every aspect of society. Give up action. It's time to give up that action. Or some people need to stop doing actions that are unnecessary. Screen time scrolling, doom scrolling. It's a term also. I don't want to do it, but I still do it. Huh? And then some need to take up constructive activity because all they do is really waste time. Not some. Me, in my life. Is there not so much that more that I could be doing with my time to feel like I've lived my life the way I wanted to? So like that, at different times in our life, for different actions in our life, different things will apply. Now see what Bhagavan says. Verse number, Bhagavan says, Nishchayam shruну me tatra
निश्चयं शृणु मे तत्र
tyage bharata sattama
त्यागे भरतसत्तमा
tyago hi purusha vyaghra
त्यागौ हि पुरुषव्याघ्र
trivida samprakirtitah.
त्रिविधः सम्प्रकीर्तितः.
Okay. Tyage, with respect to, with reference to tyaga. Nishchayam shunu me tatra. Arjuna, listen to my conclusive view. And he calls him Bharata Sattama, best in the Bharata dynasty, means most noble. And he calls him Purusha Vyagra, meaning a brave warrior. A tiger among men, literally, but brave warrior. He says, Tyago hi trivida samprakirtitaha. Tyaga is said to be of three kinds. Well, three kinds? Does that sound familiar? Can you guess what those three kinds are? We just spent a whole chapter. Hold on. You're asking if their Shraddha is good or bad? That's oversimplifying it. Shraddha is of three types. Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. Dhanam is of three types. Yajna is of three types. Tapas is of three types. Now here he is. He's saying, you can't oversimplify Tyaga. Tyaga also is of three types, three kinds. There's three kinds of Tyaga. So Bhagavan is going to tell now Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic Tyaga. Actually, he's going to tell Tamasic, Rajasic, Sattvic in that order. But before that, he has a very important remark about this Tyaga. He takes two verses to make a very, very important remark before he starts to tell us what is this Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic Tyaga. So now see, verse number 5 and 6 we'll chant together. Okay. Yajna dana tapah karma
यज्ञदानतपः कर्म
न त्याज्यं कार्यमेव तत्
न त्याज्यं कार्यमेव तत्
यज्ञो दानं तपश्चैव
यज्ञो दानं तपश्चैव
पावनानि मनीषिणः मनीषिणाम्
पावनानि मनीषिणाम्.
Okay. Oh, let's chant next one also. Etanyapi tu karmani
एतान्यपि तु कर्माणि
sangam tyaktva phalani cha
सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा फलानि च
kartavyani me partha
कर्तव्यानीति मे पार्थ
nishchitam matamuttamam.
निश्चितं मतमुत्तमम्.
Bhagavan says, Yajna Dana Tapa Karma. He also picks up this topic of Yajna Dana Tapa Karma. He says, Natyajyam. They should not be given up. Instruction. They should not be given up. And he doesn't end there. He says, Karyamevatat. He says they must be done. So not only does he say they must not be given up, he also says they must be done. Right? Why? Because yajno danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishina. Because they're pavanani. They alone purify the seeker. Yajna dana tapas bring purity of mind to our personality. Now someone might ask, but what if I don't need purity of mind? I mean, why is it important for me? Well, purity of mind is what is required for the knowledge that I am of the nature of happiness to take root. So now you simple test. Have you heard that you are of the nature of infinite, permanent happiness? Well, if you haven't heard it, you've heard it right now, right? You are of the nature of bliss. Satchidananda Swarupa. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That is your nature, right? Chidananda Rupa. In every different ways it is told, your nature is bliss. Is that your experience? You're sitting here in 100% bliss right now? You're smiling, but that doesn't mean there's 100% bliss there. We're very good at smiling even without 100% bliss, right? So, if having been told that that is my nature and I don't experience it, that is proof for those who want some kind of proof that I need purity of mind. If I've heard it and that knowledge hasn't taken root, it means there is impurity in my mind, which is preventing it from taking root. That is one. Second, is your life filled with agitation? If you don't want to say it out loud, you can shake your head. Is your life filled with sorrow? Yes, we have sorrow. Filled with means at least there's some, right? Some sorrow, some agitation in our life. Well, impurities of mind manifest as sorrow. They manifest as agitation. And so, if I have that in my life, then I have to take to heart what Bhagavan is saying. Bhagavan is saying, for purity of mind, for purification of personality, I need to do this. Yajna, dana, tapas. Now he's not done. He still has something to say about this yajna, dana, tapas. In the next verse he says, Etani apitu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani iti. These yajna, dana, tapas, kartavyani, they must be done. Again, he's telling they must be done. Right? But now he's telling how. He says, sangam tyaktva phalani cha. Giving up attachment to the karma and giving up attachment to the result. We must do yajna, dana, tapas, but how? Giving up attachment to the karma itself and giving up attachment to the results that come from those karma. And then he says, me partha nishchitam matamuttamam. Partha, Arjuna, iti, this is my conclusive view. In verse number 4 and verse number 6, in the span of like 30 seconds. He says 2 times, this is my conclusive view. This is my firm view. Yajna dana tapas should not be given up. Yajna dana tapas must be done. Yajna dana tapas must be done by giving up attachment to results and giving up attachment to the action. But there's no vagueness in Bhagavan's mind that yajna dana tapas must be done. So that should sink in our mind. Because, when chapter 17 finished, we were like, okay, let's move on to the next thing. Yajna dana tapas done. Huh? Bhagavan is saying, no, yajna dana tapas cannot be given up, even though chapter 17 is finished. Impossible. You can't stop, right? So now let's think a little bit about this thing because of how important it is, right? Let's think for a moment, or more than a moment. Sangam tyaktva, giving up attachment. What does that look like? In the workplace, it looks like workaholism. Have you heard of workaholics? They can't sit quiet. They can't bear to see someone else doing the thing they're doing. If they're told you don't need to do this anymore, someone else will come and do it. They feel like what? What do you mean? Right? If they don't have anything to do, they feel like a fish without water. They have to do something. They have to do something. They can't imagine being retired. There's some people who can't imagine being retired and they cover it up with, oh no, but it's good to be busy. But they don't want to stop what they're doing. They don't want to not busy. They just don't want to stop what they're doing. Really, most people behind those lines, right? The feeling is, if I stop what I'm doing, my identity will be gone, right? If somebody feels like that, it means that the capitalistic system has used you and has eked out of you your productive years for its benefit. But in that process of them using you for their benefit, you didn't use the system to grow, to mature, to mature in your understanding of the purpose of action. Work is not supposed to be used by us to define ourselves. What is our identity according to the rishis? Our identity is I am Sat Chit Anand. I am of the nature of existence, consciousness, bliss. That is who I really am, right? So now, if I identify myself as this person in this company doing the certain job, or this person in a mandir doing a certain seva, I have reduced my identity, my opportunity to identify as Satchitananda, and held on to this small identity in the process. Now see, how is work supposed to be done? I'm supposed to realize that work is being done through me for the benefit of humanity. I am just an instrument of the work that is given to me at this time for Bhagavan to get his work done. Or if you don't like the word Bhagavan, for the cosmic force of the universe to turn, to get its work done, like that, right? But my nature is actually something higher. And if somebody is not attached to work at work, you just think a little bit. We could be attached to seva. We could be attached to study. We could be attached to our home. We could be attached to our body and like doing action to take care of our body, doing action to make our home perfect all the time. What happens is our attachment just moves from one thing to another. And then the ego justifies, no, it's good to be attached to this, But the goal is to transcend attachment altogether, right? If we need to shift our attachment from something lower to something higher to help us transition, that is one thing. But we should know it is transitioning, right? But eventually the attachment has to be dropped. We're not supposed to be attached to any karma because it's sadhana. It's not an end. In Vivekachudamani, we just saw this in our class here. Chittasya shuddhaye karma. The purpose of karma is chitta shuddhi. It's purity of mind. That is the goal of karma. It's not the goal of life, right? So giving up attachment to karma. You just think about the problems in society when we don't give up our attachment to the action. The next generation can't do what they have to do. Now you imagine internally when we don't give up attachment to action. We can't grow spiritual like that, right? Okay. Now think of giving up attachment to result. What does that look like? What it looks like, it's very simple. Whatever result comes, whenever it comes, having done my best, I accept whatever comes with grace. I accept it as prasad. And if it doesn't come also, that's okay. See, when a child goes and gets prasad at the ashram, they come and then they line up and then Swamiji or whoever will hand out prasad, right? So they put their hands out and Swamiji puts something in their hand. So now Swamiji puts an apple in the child's hand. And the child says, but Swamiji, I don't like apples. Now it is cute when you're a toddler. Swamiji, I don't like apples. And then everyone will giggle and Swamiji will say, okay, which one do you want? And then he'll take the apple away and he'll put an orange or whatever in your hand. But at that age also, when the child is 3 or 4 or 5 and they say in front of Swamiji, I don't like this. The parent says, no. You can't say that for prasad. You have to take whatever comes. Is it not that the parent teaches the child at that young age also? Whatever comes, you have to take it because it is prasad. Now you fast forward. A grown adult goes there and says, Swamiji, I don't like apple. Can you give me the orange instead? Why didn't you ask me what I wanted? Right? Or, Swamiji, why is it that when I came to do pranam, there's no fruit left? That's not fair. You please ask somebody to bring something so you can give me prasad. I can't leave without prasad. It sounds funny when we talk about prasad like this, but all results of all actions have the same degree of prasada buddhi. We're supposed to have the same degree of prasada buddhi as the prasad we get in the ashram in the month. That means it looks like this. When I run a project, right, at a company, and then is it not true that I don't want to leave the company till I can benefit from the results of that project? I've put in so much work. Now, after all of this work, you want to move me to another department? But now is when the nice results of all my work are going to come, right? It's not fair. All the results, all the work I did, I'm not even there to reap the result, the benefit. But that's not why we do the work. We don't do the work so we can reap the benefit. We do the work so we can grow through doing the work. The work itself is supposed to bring the result of purity of mind. And my mind is supposed to drop it right there. Huh? So Bhagavan is saying, giving up attachment to action and giving up attachment to result. Do yajna, dana, tapas. We must do yajna, dana, tapas. It doesn't finish in chapter 17. This is one of those rare chapters where something that was elaborated on in a previous verse is again really, really elaborated on. Actually, no, that's not true. It comes like karma yoga comes over and over and all that, right? But here very clearly, again, this concept of yajna, dana, tapas comes. So much emphasis. So when Bhagavan says giving up attachment, it automatically implies sattvic yajna, dana, tapas. I don't know if you remember, that feels like eternity ago that we did chapter 17, but sattvic yajna, dana, tapas involves giving up attachment. Now, if you say, well, I missed chapter 17, I only joined in chapter 18. I forgot. I didn't realize how important it is. Can you please tell me again, what is this yajna, dana, tapas? And I didn't realize how serious it was. Now I'll pay attention. This time, now Bhagavan has said, don't give it up. I'm going to sit straight and listen nicely. Please, 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 tell again now. Bhagavan, are you going to tell? Bhagavan's not going to tell. He's going straight to tamasic tyaga. Right? But what is this yajna, dana, tapas? Please tell something. Let us think about it. Bhagavan is saying it's so important, right? Tapas. Let's start with tapas. Tapas comes from tap, to burn. right? Burning means burning away impurities by doing something difficult that is going to help me to evolve spiritually. I'm talking sattvic. I'm not talking rajasic, tamasic. That's finished, right? In sadhana, so many things can be tapas. Forget spiritual sadhana, just even normal things. Like, see, for a child, sitting in a classroom or in Balvihar without moving is great tapas. We have one kid here, he must be about 6 years old. He can sit for more than 20 seconds without moving and running around. And then all the other kids get distracted, right? So to pick him up, hold him, put him down, put some force on him so he can't move, then he has to sit there. Is that not tapas for him? That's super tapas to sit there and not move, right? Or for an adult whose child has just gone to university, it's tapas for them to not call every 2 hours to see if they're okay. Are you okay? What have you eaten? What are you doing? Do you have enough stationery? I don't know whatever parents worry about, right? Every 2 hours, they want to message, they want to call, they want to find out if the kid is okay. It's tapas to say, no, 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 no. I called already, and then you put your phone back down. I'm not going to message again. They're going to like not pick up my call next time out of whatever reason. It's tapas to hold yourself back, right? So now, that is normal tapas we go through. What is supreme tapas? This is super short version, right? Manashascha indriyana ekagryam paramam tapaha. I believe this comes in Mahabharata. It says, single pointedness or concentration of mind and senses is called the greatest tapas. The greatest tapas is single pointedness or concentration of our mind and our senses. You know, the best example is when we're doing japa. When you sit to do japa, right? And you have to keep your mind here on the mantra and the tolling of the beads. And the mind says, no, but I want to go and think about my list of to-dos for today. You know how many things we have to do? And you're like, mind, be quiet. Sit here. Do japa. It's torture for the mind, is it not? That mind just wants to run. That mind just wants to go. That mind wants to think about everything else except the mantra that it is supposed to think about, right? It's tapas. It's tapas for the child to sit and focus in class. Now, whether they're learning anything or not, they're practicing tapas, right? But the concentration of mind and senses on one thing is paramam tapa. So now we sit. Gurudev says this also in simple English. Keep your mind where your hands are. Right? It's tapas to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm not going to be cooking and talking on the phone at the same time. Have you seen that typical cooking and doing like 5 other things, right? You have bhajans playing in the background and you're cooking and you're on the phone and you're watching your children do things, being like, hey, stop doing that. Tapas, do one thing at a time, right? No, but I feel like, it's so much more efficient to just listen to satsang and cook at the same time. But it's tapas to do one thing at a time, right? So yes, I may not be listening to satsang, which I really want to listen to, but I'm learning to keep my mind in one place, right? Like that. So we go on thinking about in what aspect of our life we can bring more tapas. Now, if tapas is so important, how do I practically practice this in my day-to-day life? Our tradition is so wonderful. Just by living our life properly, we can practice tapas. For example, one of the best ways to practice tapas that is given is swa ashrama vihita karma anushtanam tapa. Meaning, staying in whatever ashrama I'm in. I don't mean Chinmaya Mission, etc. ashram. I mean brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. Staying in whichever ashram I am in to perform the duties of that ashram uncompromisingly with full steadfastness is a great tapas. Means when I'm a student, to be a student. When I'm a parent, to be a parent. When I'm a vanaprasthi, means a member of the community, be a member of the community. And when I'm a sannyasi, be a sannyasi, right? See, when we are students, we want to work. And students don't want to study, they want to work, they want to have relationships, right? Then they get married, they have kids. Now, when you're a parent, you want to study. Have you seen? Different stages mixed up, right? When we're in Vanaprastha and we're supposed to be thinking about the community, now we want to take care of grandkids. So, lack of clarity about what our duties are in each stage and doing other stages' duties in the current stage is not tapas. Tapas is, I want to do these other things, but I'm not going to do them. I'm going to focus on only my duty. So we're supposed to know what we're supposed to do, and we're supposed to do that. And we're supposed to do it without complaining. Student, it's not fair. Without complaining, even in our mind, we're supposed to do our duties, right? Now, the result of doing this tapas is great conservation of energy. Great conservation of energy comes when we do tapas. Instead of our mind going all over to do so many things, it stays in one place, it does what it has to do. Now, all of that energy we have conserved, what are we going to do with it? You know, have you seen a child in North America who has a tremendous amount of energy, but they live in a small home and it is snowing outside and the parents don't want to go out? What happens to the child? They're forced to stay indoors. How are they going to let out all that energy? In Guyana, they can go outside and they can run and they can jump in the river and they can jump out and they can jump back in the river and they can jump out. And in North America, what is their option? Climb onto the couch, jump on the floor. Climb onto the couch, jump on the floor. And then eventually the parents like, stop that. What are they supposed to do? She's out, right? So now, all of the energy that we get because of doing tapas, either it will make us burst if we don't use it, it will explode somehow, or it will just get dissipated. You know, when you don't have a proper conservation system, it just dissipates, right? So now the appropriate channeling of the energy that we conserved through our tapas is called yajna. Yajna here not meaning fire worship, but sacrifice, right? Sacrifice, you know, even in traditional yajna, every time they put samagri in the fire, they say, namama, it is not mine. The principle there is the focus there is the giving up of selfishness, the giving up of attachment, the giving up of possessiveness, right? So we're supposed to do our karma as worship of Bhagavan. That is what yajna means. Do your karma as worship of Bhagavan. In the pledge, Gurudev says it best. We believe that the service of our country is the service of the Lord of Lords, and devotion to the people is the devotion to the Supreme Self. We know our responsibilities, give us the ability and the courage to fulfill them. That is this sentiment. Right? May my work be yajna. Now, great results come from that. From doing tapas and doing yajna, great results come. Those results should not be selfishly kept for me, but they should be shared. Right? You know, the principle behind dana is this. Imagine there's a group of 10 people responsible for taking care of a garden. You have a group garden, a community garden, and 10 people have the responsibility. So some come and they turn the soil, some come and plant the seeds, some come and water, some come to weed, some come to make sure the plant doesn't have bugs, all different things. Different people come and do. There's a group of 10 people taking care of these plants. Now, my job is to go and reap, right? Of all the duties divided, I have to go and pick everything that is ripe when it is ripe. Is it fair for me to keep everything? Well, I'm the one who picked it. I did the work of going to pick it. I should keep it. No, 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 you can't keep all. That's not fair. Okay, okay, no problem. I'll share it with my family. No, that's not fair either. What about all the remaining 9 people who did all the work so that you could go and reap it? Right? That is the sentiment behind dana. Whatever I have gotten in my life, whatever I have gotten is because of the sacrifices and contributions of the whole world. I just haven't done enough calculation to realize it. And in fact, the hardest work is done by those who don't reap it. The reaping is the easy part. The hard work is done by others. So in the same way, when the results come, it looks like my work. I did some little action and I got the work. But the whole world has helped me to get it, right? And it is only by the grace of Bhagavan that those results come. So with that bhava in mind, I share the results of whatever I get, not just with my family, but with the entire society. Out of gratitude for Bhagavan, out of understanding that the whole world contributed to me getting it, I share. Gratitude, gratitude is a big buzzword these days because gratitude brings peace, it brings happiness, right? And the understanding that the whole world is contributing, it helps us to evolve on the spiritual path. It helps us to see ourselves and our place in the world. It keeps our ego in super check, right? And the other thing is the act of giving what we feel is ours. It brings vairagya. It brings detachment. Detachment is a super sadhana for moksha. So this is one way to think about how yajna, dana, tapa, karma purify. Now, this doesn't only apply in the spiritual field, right? Even in the corporate world, even in mandirs, even in ashrams, you think about it, right? Tapas will be mobilization of resources. We put effort in to get resources, is it not? So much effort goes into collecting resources. Yajna is utilization of those resources. Now, if you don't utilize the resources properly or responsibly, people don't want to give. They're just going to waste it. I don't want to give. And then finally, dana. There's something called corporate social responsibility. Right? The whole society should benefit, not just them, because the society is involved in their success. Right? So like this, we can go on thinking like that then you think about what yajna, dana, tapas looks like in my life. But the principle is it brings purity of mind. Tapas removes laziness from my life. Yajna removes selfishness from my life. And dana removes attachment from my life. And the pure mind that I get as a result, you know what a pure mind looks like? It looks like a neat, ordered mind. Maybe let's see the opposite first. Have you gone into a messy teenager's room before? Is it possible to find anything? They might say, no, 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 I know where everything is. Just leave my stuff. Ask me for anything and I'll tell you where it is. I mean, that only holds for like 2 days and then the mess becomes too much and they also can't find it. Now imagine in that big mess, you give them something precious, small box of some family heirloom. You trust them to keep it safe in their big messy room for access when you need it? I'm not giving it to them to keep. Look at their room. Right? Now you compare that to a neat room where every single thing is in the right place. Is it not that when you give that precious thing, they have a place to put it, they can access it, they can retrieve it? In the same way, our mind right now is a teenager's room. Most of our minds, very messy, scattered ideas, impurities all over. This yajna, dana, tapas brings purity of mind. Right? It makes our mind organized. It makes our mind neat. In that neat mind now, when the ideas of the scriptures are put in, they have a place to sit, to take root. And I can find them. I can access them. Right? That is why yajna, dana, tapas is so important. Without yajna, dana, tapas means without doing something that will bring purity of mind, my knowledge remains theoretical. and that is a waste. That is like me theoretically knowing that somebody left me $1 million, but me still living like a pauper. What good is that? Knowing that I have it if I can't access it, right? This is Bhagavan's firm conclusion. Yajna dana tapas should not be given up. He reiterates it not once, but 2 times, right? Now, if we value the goal of spiritual knowledge, it means we should value the means. That means yajna dana tapa karma natyajya. That sentence we should not forget. Whether in English, whether in Sanskrit, however we want to remember it, we should value these in our life because they remove obstacles from our life. So now you do whatever you have to do to make a note of what is yajna dana tapas and stick it up in your room or your office or wherever. Tapas looks like this for me. Yajna looks like this for me. Dana looks like this for me. I am not going to give them up. Bhagavan said, don't give them up. Bhagavan took time to explain it. Bhagavan took time to reiterate it. I am not going to forget it. So you hold on to this yajna dana tapas, and next week we will see what this sattvic, rajasic, tamasic tyaga looks like, and then we will continue. Okay, so we'll pause here. I know that some people have Gita Jayanti celebrations to go to. I also have a meeting this 8 o'clock time. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think this is enough to digest for today. Let us think about this. Let us bring it into our lives. It's not about how quickly we go through the chapter. It's about how much the chapter goes through us. So the challenge today for the week actually is to think about how am I going to actually practice yajna dana tapas in my life in a tangible way. And you can reference back chapter 17 if you've forgotten. Bhagavan gives a nice detail. You just check sattvic, rajas, not leave rajasic, leave tamasic. Check sattvic if you need to. I mean, you can check rajasic too and tamasic to see what we currently do, but the goal is sattvic. Right? Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Hari Om, everybody.
Hari Om Jina ji,
Hare Om.
thank you.
Hari Om.
Hare Om.
Hari Om.